Dumelang mapara le maparagadi. It is a fresh week and that can only mean one thing. Another episode of Mzanzi Fundiz is fully locked and loaded. Kalibitso Kelekoko, your host, and I'm with my disciples, the Fundis, yes, the Fundis. The people that know what's happening. Speaking of disciples, Amapagania, they followed their disciples all the way to Mauritius and came back without any goal. Stellenbosch, they made a home out of Moses Mabhida, which was supposed to be away. Bafana Bafana squad has been announced. Those are some of the things that we'll be touching on later on when we have our guest, Sinesi Pomani. Gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode. Are you ready to argue yet again?
And we're good, Cox. Ready to argue.
Bafana Bafana squad. Yeah. Speaking of argument, the Bafana Bafana squad is out.
Yeah.
Fresh names have been thrown in. But in general, Mamposa, what do you make of the squad, the composition, and then how do you look at it?
Look, the composition of the squad, Cox, is going to be Hugo's Hugo. If there's one thing Hugo believes in, the tried and tested. He may pick one or two players that are there, but Hugo will stick to the players that he knows. The first name that he'll always put up is the right back of Super Sports United, Moby. We always know that.
He can change teams, but
that one is there. But Hugo is very stuck in his own ways, or is very clear in what he wants to be able to be. But when you then look at, everybody's crying about Tsogofatso Mabaso not being in his team. And I'll go back to the game of Bloemfontein being the blueprint of how Hugo wants to play. Look at the forward that he was using. You're looking at Mukwana, you're looking at Apollos, you're looking at Mrena through the middle. He wants people that are going to be able to come and attack the lines with pace and be able to use the counter when you are able to do that. According to me, from what I've seen of Mabasa, he's very good in terms of being in the box. If you find him in the box, you come with the ball, you carry it, and you see at Pirates, Tito gets there, Mufukeng gets there, Dlamini gets there. He's just a clinical finisher. But the type of play that he does then not necessarily suit the Hugo Broos type of playing that he's got.
Lufuno, the fact that we're seeing a lot of different teams being given a chance, and not necessarily your conventional top three teams that we know in the country, a lot of players from those teams being given a chance, does it give you confidence in to say that, yes, this is the route that we're following, and people like Apollos, for example, that got the breakthrough and made that, that starting 11 the last time, they'll still be there, will still be able to produce a huge pool of players?
Yeah, and that's good for football. I mean, if a coach is not really stuck only on two or three teams, that means that, it speaks to the quality of our league. It speaks of the quality of the players that you get from other different teams. So it's good for us.
There's a name, Simon van Duijvenbode. Have you ever seen this player play before? Do we then take confidence in the fact that we now have a scouting network system? No, because
confidence in this, I don't know enough about him to have confidence. Mara history tells me a certain PA has started very critical games in the World Cup, scored goals. Even Hans Fonk, when he came, he became number one. But if we remember the World Cup, and remember what they did. So those things, when it's a new name that we don't know, we don't have enough data to be able to go through, then you then go, Tabona Pele. But I'm not finding any confidence. I mean, but this thing of calling players that you have some blood that is South African, this is not Miss South Africa, Chief. We must make sure that we call players that, because at this rate you may end up calling Serino and Ribeiro because they have not played for their national teams and they're here.
And we'll touch on that. I mean, Lufuno, why is he being critical of the man? Is there a reason for us to criticize?
There's no reason for him to be. Let's trust that Hugo has done his homework. He has really looked at the player. He looked at his system. He wants to look at the player closely in South Africa. So let's allow him to do his job. I mean, Hugo can do what he wants because South Africa is winning at this point in time. However, maybe to be really specific about Fonk and Issa. I mean, these guys, they've come in. They did not have 2 or 3 caps. They had, very good caps. And they played with one of the top players that we have produced in South Africa, your Lucas, your Fish.
But
they were there.
Lufuno, let me come in there and stick with you because you are counter-arguing that. Is this the right time to give new players, to try and look at new players? Shouldn't that be reserved for friendly games, for example?
There's no right time for national team, Cox. If a player, you feel that is right for your team, for your national team, is eligible to play for your team, why not call him? You cannot tell me about Serino and Ribeiro. They've got no blood of South African that can be called.
The ID says this.
No, the ID can say something, but they're not South African.
Okay, Mamposa, you're shaking your head.
They're not South African.
You can't say World Cup qualifiers. Chief, we're trying to get to the World Cup and you tell us this is Chief, FIFA will have another tournament that we can play. COSAFA, let them go there in COSAFA and play there.
Cox.
You can't, when we are trying to qualify for the World Cup and the Afcon, come and say that is the time to experiment.
This is a preliminary squad. This is a preliminary squad.
Or about Jima Fel.
Wait, it's a preliminary squad. He wants to look at the players that he has called at a closer look. It's a preliminary squad. It's not a full final team. He still has to select his final team.
And I'll give you that. Atenkosi Mkaba, looking at having a look at new players. He's one of the players that has come in. What do you make of that? Do you think that we're in the right track?
And I think for him, and because of the system that he comes from, you've got to look at where he comes from. He comes from Stellenbosch. And there's certain familiarities that he's got, because you look at Stellenbosch, the way that they play when they don't have the ball, the way that they play when they have the ball. And from an environment perspective, he's got a couple of, soon it will be former teammates, Reinas who are there, who have been there, what Devin Titus. So all those guys, it now builds where you're able to say, he's now going to, as Lufuno says, preliminary, but it's an environment that's friendly to him, but he learns how the squad operates, who does what, the dynamics. And I'm not expecting him to be in the final squad, but to be around that environment. Lufuno, Lebo Simon.
But you know, it's funny. He chose Issa and he chose Funk. But he didn't speak about Dean Fairman, who actually captained Bafana Bafana from the same environment, and he added a lot of value to the national team.
All right, and thank you for that info. Value to the team he's added. You adding value while watching us on Mzanzi Fundis. Do stay tuned. Oscar Chiga, go drink some water. Now. We are here now.